Hi guys, this is Ghostly Loz here, and I want to do a video on a collectible card game called Shadowverse. So I wanted to do it from the perspective of a Hearthstone player, as Hearthstone is currently the most popular collectible card game, and I'm from a Hearthstone background, so this video is basically an introduction to Shadowverse from someone that's from a Hearthstone perspective. So let's go in and look at some of the cards that you have in this game. So obviously, like Hearthstone, you get cards. Like Hearthstone, cards have a mana cost. So in this game, rather than being called mana, they're called play points. Like Hearthstone, you get 10. Overall, you get 1 a turn each turn, so you can play a 1-drop on 1, 2-drop on 2, so forth and so on. You can't play any cards above the mana that you've got available. So these are the cards. So like Hearthstone, you have creatures and spells. Rather than Hearthstone, they're called followers in this game. So this is a 1 mana follower, or 1 play point follower. Like Hearthstone, you have classes. This is a neutral, so you can play it in any class. Like Hearthstone, you have the attack and defense. Creature combat works in exactly the same way as Hearthstone. You can buff them. When you attack, the damage persists over the turn, so combat works in basically identical way to Hearthstone. Cards can have effects, so let's look at some of these effects. The first one we'll look at is called Ward. Now Ward is basically taunt in Hearthstone. So if a follower has Ward, and in Shadowverse, one thing that I love is that if there's anything you don't know on a card and it's highlighted in bold, like a keyword, you can just click on it and it'll tell you exactly what it means. So as we can see, Ward means if one of your followers in play has Ward, the opponent can only attack that follower. Multiple allied followers have Ward, the opponent may attack any of them. So this functions exactly the same way that Taunt does in Hearthstone. So let's look at another keyword. Another one to look at is Storm. So Storm is basically charge in Hearthstone. So if we look at one of these followers, this is a 1 mana 1/1 that's got Storm. Now Storm allows followers that have Storm to attack on the same turn they're played. So as soon as you play this, it can instantly attack. Like Hearthstone, when you play followers, the turn that you play them, they can't attack. So by having Storm, it allows them to attack the turn they played. So generally they're slightly weaker, so you can see rather than being a 1 mana 1/2, this is a 1 mana 1/1, but it has Storm, so to balance it, they make it slightly weaker. Okay, let's look at another one called Rush. Now Rush is basically the new charge in Hearthstone. So Rush, followers that have Rush can attack enemy followers on the same turn they're played. So it has charge, but it can only attack other followers when you play it. And this card that I've chosen here actually has 2 keywords. So this has Fanfare. Fanfare is essentially Battle Cry. So Fanfare effects activate when you play the card from your hand using play points. So as soon as you play the follower, this Fanfare effect takes effect, and it will do something. So it's essentially Battle Cry. So in this case, this gives an allied follower rush. So you play this, you've got another follower on the board that can't attack. You give it rush, it can now attack. So there's that. So let's go to the opposite of Fanfare, which is the last word. So this is essentially Death Rattle. So this is what happens when the minion, or sorry, the follower is killed. So let's look at one, Water Fairy. Last words, put a fairy in your hand. So last words effect activate when this card is destroyed. So when this card is killed, it basically puts a fairy, which is a 1/1 follower, in your hand. So that's Death Rattle, basically. Now let's look at Ambush. So Ambush is essentially stealth in Hearthstone. So followers that have Ambush can't be targeted by enemy spells, amulets, or followers. They lose Ambush if they attack or deal damage. So it's exactly the same as stealth. Play them, they have stealth, can't interact with them unless they attack. You can still buff them and things like that, so that's Ambush. One final one that's similar to the Hearthstone ability is Bane. So this is basically a copy of the Emperor Cobra. So Bane basically means whenever this follower attacks another follower, it will kill it no matter what. So followers that have Bane automatically destroy any other followers they attack. Followers that attack them are automatically destroyed. So whenever this minion hits another minion, it kills it basically. The exact same way as Death Touch ability in Hearthstone. One slight difference, and one thing that makes this slightly more powerful than Death Touch in Hearthstone, is that when a minion with Death Touch attacks something with like a barrier or some way that it doesn't do any damage, it won't kill it. So in Hearthstone, something with Death Touch can only kill it if it actually does damage to it. In this game, however, Bane will kill it regardless. So it says automatically destroy any other followers they attack. So as soon as it's attacked something, it's dead no matter what. So that's quite strong. And you can see, while it's underused in Hearthstone, there's quite a few cards in this game that have Bane. Okay. So now let's go over the card rarities. So like Hearthstone, each card has a different rarity. There are 4 like Hearthstone in this game. So there's Bronze, Silver, Gold and Legendary. Bronze is basically common, Silver is rare, Gold is epic, and Legendary is obviously legendary. Like Hearthstone, you can disenchant cards into dust. So in this game they're called vials, and you liquefy cards into vials. You can also create other cards using vials, so it uses that same system. This also has, like Hearthstone, this has gold cards, but they're called animated cards. In this game, however, you can only get them from packs. You cannot create animated cards. You can liquefy them for more value, but you cannot create them. So you need to really think twice about liquefying animated cards in this game, because you can never create them back again. So let's go over decks in this game. So in Shadowverse, a deck can have 40 cards as opposed to Hearthstone's 30. As you can see, 40 cards. Decks contain followers and spells like Hearthstone, but they also contain another card type called amulets. Now, amulets are unique to Shadowverse, they don't exist in Hearthstone. It's essentially, so this is an example of an amulet, it's essentially a card that you play that goes on the board like a follower, but it doesn't have any attack or defense, so you can't interact with it, and it stays on the board and does something while it's on the board. So the only way to destroy it is it'll either count down and then it'll disappear after a certain number of turns anyway, or you need to play a card that's destroy an amulet. That's the only way to get rid of them out of the game. So if you play Magic the Gathering, it's basically an aura. It stays on the board until it's destroyed in some way, and it will do some kind of effect. So they're quite fun and quite unique to Shadowverse, and they don't exist in Hearthstone. So like I said, you can have 40 cards in a deck, while in Hearthstone you can only have 30. In Hearthstone you can only have 2 of each card and 1 of each legendary. In Shadowverse you can have 3 of any card, including legendaries. So you can put 3 legendaries into your deck if you want. So that's the basic overview of cards. Now let's go into some gameplay and I'll show you how this game works. So let's go and play some AI. Let's choose this deck, like a mid-range kind of deck, just to give it a good range. Let's go against Rowan, for example. I'm going to play Elite, because the AI, like in Hearthstone, the AI is pretty bad. They don't make very good decks and they're usually quite weak. So, as you can see, like Hearthstone, you can go first or you can go second. I'm going first in this case. The mulligan works exactly the same way as Hearthstone, so you pick which card you want to keep and throw away. So I'll throw away these 2 and I'll keep this one. so you get the cards back. Like Hearthstone, you get an advantage when you go first because you get to act first and you get an extra mana on top of your opponent each turn to make plays. So as you might expect, this is a big advantage. In Hearthstone, to counteract this, the second player gets an extra card in their mulligan phase, and they get a coin, which essentially gives them 1 extra mana to use at any point when they choose, and it also counts as a spell. In Shadowverse, you get, as we'll see in a minute, you get an extra 2 cards. So you'll see he'll draw 2 cards. He's drawn 2 extra cards, and you also get an extra evolution point, and you get to evolve a turn earlier. So you'll see that very shortly when I explain evolution. So you can see I've played this follower. Works exactly the same way. So you drag them, attack to attack, and then you can play other followers. One thing that's different to Hearthstone is that the size of your board is only 5, so you can only have 5 things in play. That includes amulets at any one time, and that's the max. In Hearthstone is 7, so you can see it's a smaller board in this game. So he can't play anything on 2 again. Keep drawing rubbish, so I'm going to play this again. So I'm not curving out very well, but I'm just going to keep putting in the pressure. So like Hearthstone, generally you want to play something on curve, so I would have wanted to play a heavy drop on that turn. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to buff one of my guys. So this guy's give 1/1 to an allied officer fanfare, so it's basically a battle cry. Now I'll go over this in the next video in classes, but essentially the theme of this class that I'm playing now is that you have commanders and officers and you buff your guys. Like the officer, an officer, so I'm going to buff him. So now you can see he can evolve. Okay, he didn't have a turn 4 play, which is unfortunate. So now you can see I can evolve. Now, evolving is one of the things that makes this game very special and unique. So, on turn 4, if you go second, and turn 5, if you go first, you get the ability to evolve one of your creatures. Evolving generally gives them 2/2 stats. So it buffs your minion, or it can do special effects. I haven't got any in my hand at the moment, but when you evolve a creature, it will do something special usually, or it will just get bigger. Another interesting thing is that, let's say I play this creature now. This is going to put a commander in my head. Another type. Okay, so that's a legendary. One thing that's interesting is that if I evolved this now, I'd be able to attack with it, but I wouldn't be able to attack face. It gives it rush essentially. So I could evolve this and use it to make a nice tempo play. So that's another thing that evolving can do. I'm not going to evolve anything yet, this is not really my point. So let's hope he plays something on 5. Okay, so he's played this creature. This is a very strong neutral creature, and he's evolved it. So you can see he's now going to be able to attack with that. We're going to kill off this one. You see that's a very, very strong card, a very strong play. So this is above the curve in Shadowverse. So generally, creatures, because you only start with 20 health rather than 30 in Hearthstone, creatures don't tend to be as powerful. So 3/7 is way above the usual stats for a 5-drop. So you can see this 5-drop I've got here has only got 2/6. I mean, it has a special effect, but it's only got 2/6. This 5-drop here has only got 1/5. I mean, it's got a special effect, but like I said, it doesn't have insane stats. This one has insane stats. 3/7 is insane, especially since you can evolve it and it can go up to a 5 and 9, which is huge for 5 mana. Since it's such a strong card, and it's got ward as well. Since it's such a strong card, it has to have a downside, so it deals 3 damage to all allied followers, so you can only really play it on an empty board. So this card is ideal for playing on an empty board. Fortunately for him, I've got Sabaki, whose fanfare is destroy an enemy follower with at least 5 attack. So I'm going to play this, click on this, and it will kill it. So lucky for him, You keep putting on pressure. This also has ambush, which is stealth. So as you can see, it's got a little shroud over it. So he's played another one and he's evolved it. He has to use his tempo so he can kill that off. So now I have some choices. I can evolve, I can do whatever I want. So if I play this card and then evolve it, so I'll do that now. So this card, play it, buff these two. I can now evolve this. So there's two ways of evolving. You click on it, you click evolve, or you drag this little orb and you evolve it. So I'm now going to evolve this. So as you can see, I cannot attack face with this, so it's purely for tempo plays. So I'll play this tempo play. And then attack face with P2. He's pretty much on his last legs, there's not a great deal I can do now. He has got board wipes, but probably not really strong enough. He has got another evolution point, so he can kill off, but he's pretty much dead. So, as you can imagine, Evolve makes it a very back and forth style game, because usually the first one to run out of Evolves will generally lose. So I mean, I've played this quite well, and actually he's ended up having to use all three of his Evolves to keep up with me. I've only had to use one of mine, so I've got an insane amount of value out of this. But usually they'll be back and forth until the Evolves end. So, another thing is that because the person that goes second gets to evolve onto a 4, there are a lot of cards in this game that do powerful things when you evolve them on turn 4 and create huge tempo swings. So I mean, I've won this now. I'm basically just going to play this legendary to show off. So this fills the board. So as you can see, this fills the board with 4 of these little guys, because I already have one guy. The extra guy went off the edge and died, so you can only have 5 on the board. So I'm now going to evolve this, and just to be BL, attack him into this and kill his guy. So that's basically Shadowverse. As you can see, it's very similar to Hearthstone, but it has this very interesting evolve mechanic that's completely different to Hearthstone. And adds quite a lot of depth, strategy into the game. It makes it a lot more back and forth rather than just curvestone, like Hearthstone has become, just playing the minion on the curve each game. I mean, you do have decks in this game. This deck I was playing is a mid-range deck, so generally you want to be playing the card on curve, but you have cards that do effects, so when you evolve them. So I may want to play a power 4 card on turn 5 if I'm going first, just to get the very strong evolve effect and to take back tempo. So it creates some interesting dynamics that I think Hearthstone would definitely benefit from, and I think makes this a lot more interesting than Hearthstone, at least after initial play. So this is the end of the video. Next video I'm going to go over the classes and some of the different game modes, so please check it out.